Welcome back to another edition of B4evaKool Podcast. My name is Fortyfive. This evening we got John from Florida Moto Talk in the building. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. Like I said, been a fan of the show for a while, so it's kind of surreal, man, to finally pop up here. But hey, happy to be here, man. And thanks for reaching out and hollering at us for sure.
No problem, man. Well, you guys are doing your thing too. So I came across you guys all on my own, and I guess it's for lack of a better word, serendipity. We're connected, and I appreciate you, making the time and coming on, because I know we all have our busy schedules and stuff like that. So yeah, man, welcome to the show, and thanks for listening. But let's jump into it, man. Let's talk about how you got into riding. What was your first experience like? Was it something where you started doing it really young, like 3, 4, like some of these kids, or maybe myself later in life as the gray hairs start to show up?
Yeah, I don't know. You got me grinning now, man, because I'm starting to like reminisce in my head, like where to even begin. But I mean, I guess we can go way back, man.
Let's do it.
Pretty much just like everybody else, I guess. I can remember just being young and just sitting in my parents' car, 5, 6 years old, and a motorcycle pull up, next to the car at a red light. I just remember just staring at the motorcycle, man, just listening to it rev, like looking at the guy sitting on it, wearing all the gear and everything. It was like mesmerizing to me. I was just instantly just interested and just hooked. And I definitely, even like from that point, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely getting a motorcycle. Get a little bit older. I have a lot of friends, in middle school and everything that rode dirt bikes, 4-wheelers. I was always around them, always riding those things, but my parents would never get me one. It never happened. And, get a little bit older. Now I'm in college, and I'm from Tallahassee, Florida down here. And I went to Florida State, and it was my freshman year at Florida State, and they built a bike shop just down the road from the college, right? Perfect like marketing strategy, but
right, yeah.
I got out of class a little early one day. I was like, let me go stop by the bike shop. Drove up there, and sure enough, I'm in there for 5 minutes before cute saleswoman comes up, whispering in my ear, you know how that goes. And right after that, I mean, she's like, hey, let me, let's run your credit real quick. Let's see if we can get you a bike. And I'm 18 at the time, 19. I'm like, I don't have any credit.
Yeah.
But hey, well, you can run it, if you want. I'm here.
Yeah.
And yeah, she comes right back and she's like, hey, we got some good news. We got you approved.
What do you want?
She's like, we got you approved, but that's the funny part. She's like, with our deals going on right now, we can get you on one of 2 bikes. And the options were a Kawasaki Ninja, which was the 07. So it was the 600 at the time, the 599, or the Gixxer 600. And at the time, my buddies it was kind of like a back in the day where Gixxers were kind of getting hated on at that time. So
I think Gixxers are always getting hated on, man. I don't know if there's a time they're not.
I know, and I can't like that. There was no sort of research or like anything practical that went into my decision, right? Other than my buddies were talking crap about Gixxers at the time. But I went with the Ninja, and I mean, man, it's just the rest is history from there. But that was my first bike, Ninja 600, 2007, brand new.
Wow. And how did you break the news to your parents? Because I mean, for me, like same thing, I grew up in Boston, in the city, and kids had dirt bikes back in the day. And I still remember them to this day. And, I came home, smiling, assuming that my parents were just going to, go out and buy me a bike because I was going to be the best rider ever. And, get disappointed, but like, you're going to kill yourself or something that. And, it took me a while after that. But at some point, I had to tell my parents I was getting a bike. So, what was that like for you after you got the bike at 18 and you went off to college? And now you're like, instead of saying, you got it straight A's, or not to say you didn't, you're like, I got a bike.
That's exactly what happened, man. I mean, and they knew because literally my entire life, I had been asking for a motorcycle of some sort, man, whether it be a dirt bike or a sport bike, just anything. I mean, so they knew it was something that was stuck in my mind, but yeah, they didn't expect it I was going to show up, the next day looking like a total squid, brand new. I mean, they went and threw the gear in with the finance deal and everything. So I rolled up, brand new motorcycle, brand new helmet, gear, everything. I'm like, what's up? But I mean, like I said, they knew on some level that it was coming,
Right,
so
right,
it wasn't that big of a surprise, honestly. It wasn't as, they didn't give me as much heartache as I thought they would. They kind of accepted it.
I mean, that's good. Not necessarily parents, but I know some people in relationships that have gone out and bought bikes, and their spouse have told them, "Now you gotta get rid of that."
Mm-hmm.
So that's good that no one told you to get rid of it. And so it was like, roughly, so '07 brand new bike. Did you do a lot of street riding at that time? Was it more commuting back and forth from school and stuff like that? Were you aware of like bike clubs at that point?
Yeah, because I mean, I had friends that were always in the community too. I just never had my own bike, so I was at that time. I was pretty involved with the local bike scene. Tallahassee, I mean, it's a big college town, so there's a lot of sport bikes here. A lot of young dudes that come here for college that, I mean, do pretty much the same thing. So at that time, I mean, the bike community was huge, especially the sport bike community. Bike nights were huge, so I pretty much got that bike and then started doing bike nights, started hanging out, meeting all the local guys. And I've definitely commuted to work and to school on that thing for several years. It took me about, probably like 4 years, maybe, before I paid that thing off. And was my only mode of transportation that entire time, winter, summer. And in between commuting, group rides, Sunday rides. I mean, I was all in, just 100% all in. It was a great time.
and always with gear, or eventually the gear kind of stayed home.
Yeah, I mean, it's Florida. You know how it is around here. I mean, summertime, and t-shirt is definitely always the helmet, but definitely a t-shirt. I'm not going to say that I never rode in some tennis shoes either, but
right.
But that was a younger me, man. I mean, that was this was a long time ago. I can get away with it, but it was I mean, like I said, it was fun. Definitely some of the most fun I can remember. Definitely just that first bike, and just having that experience that I had been thinking about, that entire time. Like I just could not wait to get a motorcycle. I was always thinking about it, always around it, but it was just different, instead of being the person that's watching the bikes go by, you know what I mean? Now I'm out there riding, breaking the speed limit, admittedly, and, doing all the other things that, a 19-year-old dude's going to do if you give him a 600cc motorcycle,
Yeah. I gotta say, that's probably the one saving grace, is that I didn't have a motorcycle when I was young, and I was into cars, and I tell people, when I was younger, I'd race an old lady if she looked like she wanted some. It didn't matter. I was always ready to go.
Always.
And it's just the grace of God that I was fortunate that nothing happened. But I took my chances. And so on a bike, I knew I probably would have done the same thing. And so, like, after you paid off the Kawasaki, did you keep it at that point? Did you move on to another bike? I mean, and also you kept it for 4 years. I mean, there's people that get a bike, and 4 weeks later they want 1,000cc or anything bigger. So you kept that bike for 4 years, and you were happy with the speed.
I was definitely happy with the top end on that bike, but those are known for being like more high rev end. They don't have a lot of low end torque, so it wasn't as fun around town. And I had buddies with the Gixxer 600s too, and they were tearing me up from the red lights and everything. So I had definitely had thoughts of getting a different bike at the time, but just the Ninja, I think it was the perfect bike for me to learn on, because it wasn't super torquey like that. So it was very it was a very forgiving bike. I mean, the chassis was great on it, and I took that bike to Jennings at the time, and I was really into like taking corners and everything on it, just because it was so good at it. That's kind of what I gravitated toward. But when I got rid of that, I actually traded that with a buddy of mine who had a CBR 1000. Funny enough.
Swap bikes.
Yeah, he wanted to drop down and turn that the Ninja into a stunt bike, and then I was like, well, I haven't had a 1000. I mean, I probably don't need one, but when am I going to
Right.
have the opportunity to do a swap with a little bit of cash and get it was a '08 CBR 1000 at the time.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I was like, let's do it.
All right, I'm going to talk about that CBO a little bit, but so I just wanted you mentioned going to Jennings. So in the 4-year span, you were already looking into going to track days, and obviously you went to Jennings. What was that like? Was it the culture of just where you were at the time, or was it just because in Boston, there's not a lot of people talking about going to the track. I mean, they may be talking about going to parties and riding to different things on the street and stuff like that, but I didn't hear any of let's do track stuff in my neighborhood.
Yeah, so the roads out here, and I don't know if you spent a whole lot of time in Tallahassee, but outside of the city, it's just all country roads. So we've got long, wide open, windy country roads, and whenever we would go on rides, we would end up out in the country, just 15, 20 bikes on a group ride, and you'll have your 10, 15 guys or 10 guys out in front that just take off, and that was usually where I was, just out in front, just or near the front, just ripping, doing my thing. But we just always ended up out in the twisties, out in the turns, and so I started to gravitate toward the older guys that were more experienced with taking turns and everything. And then just coincidentally, a lot of those guys were familiar. I mean, the faster guy, it makes sense. The faster guys that ride the track, they're going to be a little bit quicker. So I just gravitated toward that group of guys, and one thing led to another. It's like, hey, why don't you come try out the track? And I was like, well, yeah, sure. So pretty early on, I went to Jennings. I mean, I didn't go regularly or anything like that. I mean, money was tight at the time and everything else. I mean, I'd probably go once every several months or something, but
Gotcha.
I was definitely there and enjoying it. But yeah, just the guys I was with, they like taking the twisties, and said the Ninja was well suited for taking turns like that. So that's just kind of what I started to focus on after a while.
Nice. And and what was it like being on a track? And was that something, when you said you focus on, the corners and stuff like that, were you looking at training or just advice from the older guys? I don't know how much videos were on YouTube in like 2011 on that stuff, or 2012, if my math is somewhat right. What was that like?
I mean, with the earlier track days, I mean, that would have been about the same time frame, like 2008, 2009. And I remember like the track scene back then was completely different at the time, especially compared to how it is now. You'd go to the track back then, and there really wouldn't be any sort of casual track guys out there at the time. I mean, it was really just mostly people that were racing, people that were getting ready to race, and then there might be a couple guys that go out there pretty regularly, but there wasn't really a whole lot of people that sort of dabbled in it. I definitely felt like I was the minority in that, just popping up once. But nowadays, I mean, it's pretty cool how there's so many people that are into it now, that you just get that whole range from absolute beginner newbie all the way up to professional rider, all on the same track. But yeah, back then, I mean, I really wasn't focused on, because once again, younger version of me, completely different than the guy you see today. But and like you said, there wasn't like YouTube resources or anything like that either to go to. So my focus at the track at that time was, man, get out there and just try to pass everybody that was out there. And there wasn't much thought behind it. There wasn't anything that was methodical about what I was doing at all. I mean, it was just like, get out there, go as fast as I can. And that was it. I mean, it wasn't until several years later that I decided, to get methodical about my riding. But yeah, at that time, I never did coaching or anything. It was just just being a bonehead, man. Get out there, go fast, crash my bike out there a couple times, doing that thing.
And do it again.
Yeah.
So you got the CBR. It's 1,000. Did you think like, wow, this is too much power, or was like, what took you so long?
The CBR was might as well have been like a fighter jet compared to the 600. Because because that bike it doesn't have a lot of guts. That's why they went back to the 636, because that 599 it just had nothing for torque and bottom end.
Right.
But that CBR, yeah, I remember the first time I twisted the throttle on that thing, and it's just that sensation you get, like where your stomach drops, where you get butterfly.
Yeah.
I just rolled onto it, and it's just butterfly. I mean, that bike, it was just raw. No electronics on the 08. It's just raw power, and you just control it with your throttle. And like it's probably a lot more bike. Definitely a lot more bike than I needed at the time. But yeah, it was an absolute experience riding that CBR. Luckily, I never crashed that bike, and
nice
because of that. Because of the power. It makes you respect it. So I was always weary of it. I would open it up every now and then, but I just kept focusing. I really enjoy being in the turns and just leaning the bike over, and that rush that you got from that. So that just continued to be what my focus was, instead of drag racing or just getting it up on the highway and going as fast as I could. I really never got into that. So I put the I'd say I'd use the CBR for the most part, what it was for, leaning it over, and
gotcha.
I enjoyed it.
And that bike went to the track as well?
That one, I don't think I had that one long enough to go to the track.
Should we ask what happened to that one?
No, that and as we talk more, you'll see. But I've had a lot of bikes, and you probably understand how it goes too. You just want to experience them all. Like once you start riding, you're like, man, what's that like? What's that like? I want to ride that one.
Yes, too well. Okay, okay. So then you had that bike for a short period of time, and then you moved on to something else. What was that bike? And then let's talk about how did the track life evolve? You started going to more tracks. So like, what was the next bike you moved on to? And like you, I have 6 bikes right now, and I've had a lot. So
yeah, so I sold that CBR. I did this all in one day too. I'm up in Tallahassee. I drove down to Lake City to sell the CBR. Got there like 7:30 that morning, and then drove back up and over to the west, over to Pensacola, to pick up a Triumph Daytona 675, another 2009. And I had that bike for a while. That bike went to the track quite a few times. And about that time, like stepping back down from the 1000 to the 600, my mentality was kind of shifting at that point. I was like, I'll never ride this CBR to its potential at all. I'm not really getting a lot out of it. It's just a big, heavy 1000. Mm-hmm. Let me go back down to a 600 where I was a little bit more comfortable on. I can handle it a lot better because it's what I used to. And once again, it'll be a better bike to go to the track.
Yep.
So I went back down to that Triumph Daytona, took that to the track a lot. Absolutely loved it. It had everything that the Ninja didn't have. It had the torque. It didn't have as much top end, but that torque and that 3-cylinder, the triple motor, just it was an absolute beast of a bike.
And I'm sure that at Jennings it'll be perfect. Probably a little bit, maybe too much bike.
Yeah.
So you now in all that, how many tracks were you going to? Was it mostly Jennings still, or were you going to different tracks? Did you start racing at that point, or was it still more track days?
At that time, I was only going to Jennings, and then fast forward a couple bikes later, I was still doing my street thing just a little bit. Bought a 636. Took that to the track a lot. And then at that point, I started thinking, I'm getting a little bit, because I had been riding for several years on the track at that point. So I'm like, I'm getting a little bit too quick for the road now. It was getting me in trouble. And the electronics on the Ninja definitely saved me once or twice with cold tires. I'm like, this is getting kind of sketchy. At that point, I was like, let me just go ahead and get away from this street thing, focus on track riding, because it's the safest place to be at the end of the day. So sold that Ninja, bought a R6, 2013 R6 from a guy out of South Florida that had it. I mean, everything, full O-Lings, full electronics, absolutely everything. Rode that, couldn't get comfortable on it. Got my current Ninja that I'm riding now. My
You like the Ninjas, I
636.
think, man.
I keep coming back. It's my third one. And once I got that bike, the purpose of buying my current Ninja was to really start getting into track riding exclusively with the intention of going racing at that point.
Got you.
So that was probably 3 years ago now.
Okay.
And at that point, then I just started riding Jennings. I said, hey, I definitely want to go race. I've been a racing fan, just like you, forever. I was like, I want to do, what my heroes are doing. I'm tired of seeing these guys like me, just like getting the bike in the first place. I'm like, I want to go do what these guys are doing. So I started hitting Jennings every weekend, did the Ed Bargy race school.
Okay.
And that helped out a lot too with my riding, even though, it's a really short class, but that really helped out a lot. And at that point, that's where I really started to make like the mental shift of getting methodical, focusing on what I'm doing, started learning about, suspension and making changes, and started really getting into slicks at that point. And I was already like an expert level racer at that time, but except for me, the biggest thing was just to not go to the track just to go spin laps. It's
right.
I got
a purpose.
Yeah, I got to go with a purpose. Yeah, exactly. I got to think about what I'm doing now. And that was pretty much the start of me getting to where I'm at now.
Okay. And before we get to that part, you got the 675, you got the R6 and the Ninja. What didn't you like about the Triumph to say, hey, I want to move to something else? And then what didn't you like about the R6 that, say I want to move to something else as well? I had one guy on the show, and I believe he had a Jigsaw. I could be wrong, but his weight was limited him, so he ended up going to a 636, and he still had to shed some weight, but that was one of the main reasons for him going from a different bike to the 626. So I know the triples are really good out of corner, and it's probably one of the best bikes out of corner, just because of the engine characteristics and stuff like that. So what was it for you that decided, hey, let me move on to the R6? And then again, like I said, what made you go back to the Cowie after that?
And there's a couple more bikes sprinkled in there too, but so the Daytona was pretty much the perfect. I should have went to the Daytona from the Ninja, because the Daytona I felt like was the perfect progression from that Ninja, because the chassis was perfect it was the 09 too, with the you've probably seen them with the undertail exhaust, the previous body generation, but chassis was perfect. The 3-cylinder was just super torquey, so it was perfect for riding in town. And then it just has that it's like the bike, it's just got so much personality with when you rev that thing, and you get all the the intake noises and the whistling and the styling on it. It was just a premium bike compared to the Ninja. But over the Ninja, definitely, just that torque. It is so huge to have that torque when you're doing city riding. And then the R6 mechanically was perfect. Like I said, it had way more parts and upgrades than I could ever get the performance out of. It was completely done up. And I just couldn't. Yeah, it wasn't even that. It's going to sound weird too, because I have buddies that are taller than me that currently race R6s of the same generation, but I just could not get comfortable on the R6 ergonomically.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
No matter what I was doing to it, I could never get to a point where, my shoulders and my back wasn't aching and everything. So mechanically, power-wise, the R6 was perfect. It's just the ergonomics. Just I could not get it to work. I don't know
Yeah.
why. So at that point, I'm thinking, what was I most comfortable on? I was like, well, the Ninja was my first bike, and thinking back to it, I mean, I loved how it felt. I was really quick on that bike, or so I thought. It was like, let me try this next iteration of the 636, and then going to that, it's the 636 isn't as premium as the Daytona. I mean, it's going back to a Japanese bike, but
Hmm.
it's a very, very well equipped bike. I mean, they come with ABS traction control. I've disabled the ABS on mine, but I still have the traction on there that I do run.
Yep.
Chassis is great, and then they went to the 636 motor, so you have the low end, that grunt on the bottom end, but it also revs high as crap too. So the biggest reason was just to get back to being comfortable on the bike physically,
Right.
and then the 636 just made perfect sense.
Gotcha. Now, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit with your current mindset at the moment. Um, do you think you could have just kept the the Triumph and kept running it instead of going to the R6? And also, how much of it was mental? Because I know for me, like I struggled. I mean, I struggled a bit. I struggled for years racing, as probably most people do. But I had a like a 3-4 year stretch where it was pretty tough. And for me, it took. I think there's a lack of experience, knowledge, and so I always thought it was me. And it took for a little bit to say, hey, maybe it's not me. Maybe it's my bike. And I finally got the bike checked out, and there definitely was some stuff wrong with the bike, suspension wise and stuff like that, geometry, and I mean, also the suspension guy could have just said it to me too, right? Because sometimes just hearing that is a mental thing to make you feel differently on the bike. So like in hindsight, I don't know if you reflect back and stuff like that. Obviously, I mean, most people do in life, but is that something that you go, oh, maybe I could have done this differently, or these kind of things, or you're like, were you spot on?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely put a lot of effort into getting new bikes that I didn't need to, for sure, 100%,
Me too.
for sure, like for sure. If you've only, I mean, like I said, there's so many other bikes in between that stretch too. But yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, there was nothing wrong with the Daytona at all, and I definitely could have been quick on it if I had just stayed on it too. Um, but I just wanted to get something that was, because the Daytona was also a street bike too,
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't track prepped either. So that went a lot into the decision as well. The R6 and my current Ninja were fully track prepped when I got them, but yeah, in hindsight, yeah, I just stick to the Daytona, save myself a lot of money, save myself a lot of heartache. I mean, because it really wasn't a necessary switch. I mean, I could have just tracked the thing out myself. Probably still spend a little bit of money doing that, but
Yeah.
this just you with these bikes. I mean, there's always new ones coming out. You always think, well, let me try that, or maybe I can get the edge here. But at the end of the day, it's the rider.
Yeah, yeah,
you
exactly.
you can get the bike to perform, but once again, man, younger me, different version, so didn't make the best choices.
No, definitely. I started on Ducatis, and I wanted to race. I still haven't raced a Ducati, but I wanted to race a Ducati, and I've just listened to other people and how the cost of the bike and keeping it race ready and all that stuff. And since then I've bought 2 R6s, 2 KTM's, and it's just like the amount of money I spent on those bikes, I could have built a Ducati and not complain. So yeah, it's interesting in hindsight, but I mean, I think for all of us, we like getting new bikes and trying them out. So
Exactly.
we might always be looking for a reason to purchase a new bike. So now you 3-4 years ago, you decided to take racing a little bit more serious. Is it just really because you just got too fast for the street and you want to keep it safe, or was there like also just kind of see if if you can be competitive as well?
That's a good question, man. For me, I mean, I was at that point where I would go to a track day, right, and then the next day I would go ride on the street. and it was
It's
just
like 30
different.
miles faster, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just different. It wasn't. I was getting to the point where I was like, if I wasn't thinking when I was on the street, if I wasn't thinking, it's not fun. I'm at a red light. It's just not fun. If I wasn't thinking that, then I was out on some country road somewhere trying to recreate track speeds on street tires that were
Right.
probably cold. And it caught me out a couple times. So, I mean, it was a little bit of both, just getting too quick to go on the roads. It was getting a little bit too dangerous to go that fast. And I just decided, why don't I just focus on track riding? Why don't I focus on actually improving my skills instead of just zooming around on public roads and potentially get myself in a worse situations than I had already been in? Because I've had a couple street crashes too, doing the same thing. So yeah, that transition happened. So just because getting a little bit too quick for the street, and then just that desire to want to start working on these skills instead of just going out and doing things. And just that danger factor is a really big one too.
Right.
If you
Right.
crash on a back road, I've been on group rides where you have a guy in the back that's doing a wheelie, loops his bike. Half the time, nobody will even know, where you're at to even call. Like, people are trying to get Google Maps going. Like, we have no
Right.
idea where we're
Right.
at.
Yeah.
That's if you got service, you know what I mean? Because you're probably not even going to have service. Some of the spots where we go, I mean, it's the middle of nowhere out here where we would go ride. So it's just the risk wasn't there for a minimal reward for me. And I mean, I still got a lot of buddies that ride street. I mean, there's some people that just love it, but for me, I just got to the point where I couldn't really justify it anymore. I just wanted to focus on something different.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I still ride the street, but I don't. I'm like more of a nomad. I ride solo mostly, and to and from, or just appreciating it. And I've talked to a lot of riders, a lot of racers and track riders who don't ride the street at all, and it's one of those weird things because I feel like I would have to live on a track for me not to, ride the streets anymore. Because at least once a week, I would probably want to be on the bike, and at least with the street. And I know, and I get the track, so when I go out, I just ride. I don't while out or anything like that. But does the track and the racing is enough for you to, see here, like my daughter would make fun of me because every time I hear a bike, I'm looking out the window like a dog. You know what I'm saying? Do you miss that, or is enough?
I mean, so racing is like a track day on crack. So after a race, at least for me, I like to have a little bit of downtime in between the races, because I mean, there's a lot to get to the racetrack and to get. I mean, there's a lot of preparation that goes into that. There's a lot of stress that goes into it as well. So in between racing and track days, I feel I would be content with that.
Okay.
Because like I said, I mean, after the race, you want to take at least a week or two off. I mean, at least I do. I don't know if everybody feels that way, but after a big race weekend, I mean, we're on the road like 5-6 hours going to the track, and I mean, just it's stressful. So I'm good just being off the bike for a weekend or two. And then when you do, a track days are just what they're intended. Once you start racing, you understand what a track day is really intended for, is just to work on your skills, to get time on the bike. So track days are the least stressful thing that I will do right now. But yeah, between racing and track days, it was plenty for me.
Yeah.
But there's also a solution for that too. Dirt bikes. I don't know if you've seen any of our dirt bike videos, but
No.
it's fun, man. So
I gotta check them out.
So I ride dirt too.
Okay.
And I get out on the dirt bike as much as I absolutely can, in between the track days and the racing too. But
okay, yeah, and that still counts. I mean, even if you get on a scooter, man, I think it still counts to definitely get a little riding in. Let's talk about like some of the clubs you raced at, and what was your experience like going to the track, even doing a track day or going to these, I don't know how many different clubs you've raced at. So let's talk about how many different clubs you've raced at and what was your experience like going there for the first time?
So the only club that I've raced with is Weira so far, and I don't really have any intentions to race with any other clubs right now because Weira is just such a good org. I just converted a really good buddy of mine over to Weira, and he's raced with a couple different orgs up north, and then he's raced with like CCS, ASRA down here, and he says just Weira's the best, hands down, as far as the grid sizes and how they run everything. And I did my research too before I joined Weira. I asked around, I looked around, and everybody just spoke highly of Weira. Everybody that I talked to, they said, Weira's the place to be.
Okay.
And so my experience racing with them has been great. I haven't had a single issue with registration or anything. They have
just read all the directions ahead of time.
Yeah, I definitely prep too, a lot more than most people. But they have a tight knit group of people that run it, and they have it down to a science. Everything's always on time. You're gonna get your race time unless something unfortunate happens, like the ambulance incidents that you might have heard of a while ago.
Yeah.
We were there that weekend too when that happened up at Roebling. But barring anything like that happening, they're very focused with making sure that they have all the races so that you can get your seat time, get the races that you signed up for, and then get home at a decent time too. They're really focused on the rider, and they're just really focused on putting on just a really good, smooth weekend.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so I've never had an issue. I'd highly recommend anybody to go race with Weira.
Okay.
And, yeah.
I will say I have a license with them, but I haven't raced with them yet. Just this year I'm going to race with them. I've raced with Neymar, which is formerly LRRS, which was formerly part of CCS Azura. I raced at Azura, and last year I did the Pan American Series. And so those are the only clubs that I've raced with. And, outside of, I think I've had good luck with for most of the point, all of them. I know there's folks that will say they won't race at certain clubs and stuff like that. And even after that incident you're talking about at Roebling, there were people that say they would never, on social media, to say they'll never race Weira again. Nothing is 100% proof. You know what I mean? And if you were to say, what happens most, riders, causing a track incidents, whether they forgot to put a oil drill plug in versus the organization not doing the right thing, it's usually the riders that are not doing the right thing.
Yeah, and this is my second year with Weira, and that whole Roebling incident was just such a freak accident too. Definitely people need to understand that was a completely freak accident. Don't let that incident scare you from, racing with Weira for sure. Because once again, extremely professional group of organizers and people that run that thing. And I've never experienced anything remotely even similar to that in the 2 years that I've been with them.
Right.
So yeah, I still highly recommend them. That didn't, scare me off just because, like I said, I trust those guys for sure. You definitely got to have a level of trust with the org, going into the weekend, even registering with them. But yeah, I would definitely recommend, don't, let that one thing stop you. Because it really is a great organization in my experience.
And that's the biggest thing is having like I said, I've had really good experiences all around at all the different orgs. Even with Azure and CCS changing ownership and stuff like that. When I don't want to sound like an old fogey or anything like that, because I haven't really been racing that long. It's over 10 years for sure. But it takes a lot of effort for people to decide that they're going to put a race on for other people and they're not the ones racing. It's like you're putting on a party and you're not going to show up, right? You're just going to be in the back making sure everything is okay. And so, from that perspective, I in the last, probably 2 to 3 years, I really appreciate, what people decide to do, to love racing enough that they're going to, dedicate their time and effort to making this thing happen for people like us who just want to go and race. And like I said, most of the people that work at these organizations, they're just a fan of the sport. Most of them aren't actually racing that weekend.
Yeah. And another good example of that too is the Separano, the Endurance Classic. If you heard of that one.
I have. I'm hoping to get there.
Yeah, we'll be there. We're running a team, Backmarker Racing. It'll be our second year. We raced last year with them for the first event. It was
if you need a backup rider, man, let me know.
Yeah, we'll let you know. I mean, we're said it's going to be our second year running. Last year we did the Saturday races, and it was the 2 3-hour races, and we got a first place and a second place.
Oh wow!
In 400 Superbike.
Okay. But and what are you guys running? A Ninja 400?
Yeah, Ninja 400. And
I know some people are running the 400 RR inline 4 too. Is that in the same class?
Yeah, they have a couple different classes. I mean, they do 400 Superbike, 400 Super Stock. Okay. There's a 300 class, heavyweight twins for 650s, and there was probably 2 of those 4 hours that were out there last year, and yeah, they tore out. Those bikes are unreal. But yeah, perfect example of what you're talking about. I mean, Separanos, man, they're like, hey, let's get this thing going. Let's just create a race weekend where we can go. They're the only people that are racing at Jennings right now. I mean, I don't even know how they pulled that off.
Yeah.
But they've went and created an entire event for us to get out there and do our thing, and it's endurance racing nonetheless, so more seat time than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, what's that like? Because as I get more mature, as they say, I'm not chasing the regional titles and the individual titles anymore, and I'm looking to get into enduro racing. I know we're getting off the topic a little bit, but what is it like doing it? Your first year? I believe it's 2 or 3 hours. I don't know how many guys are on a team, if it's 3 or 4. But what is that like physically? How does that feel and mentally as well?
Well, the way they break it down, so Saturday will be 2 3-hour races, and then Sunday will be the 5-hour race. And you can have a maximum of 5 riders on your team.
Wow.
So last year, our strategy was pretty much just get on the bike and ride as long as you can. But we all ended up doing probably, 30, 45 minutes because, I mean, you're pushing pretty hard. Or we were pushing pretty hard. And there was a couple teams out there that had pro riders as well. The Dreyers were out there, Avery Dreyer, Ella Dreyer, they were there on a team, and a couple other fast guys. But yeah, so we were pushing pretty hard, but you will be more tired than doing a track day session for sure. Doing your stint, because the whole time all the different classes are on the track at the same time too, so you're going to want to try to keep up with the guy in front of you, and you have to remember, it's not a sprint race, it's an endurance race. So with these, you want to be consistent. Like, being consistent is a lot more important than being fast. And staying on the bike as long as you can is also a pretty good indicator of how well you're going to do, because you lose a lot of time in the pits to doing the rider swaps and everything. But the secret to success is to ride as long as you can. But it's not really hard, because it's kind of like on the street. How you kind of just get in that flow state. You get in the zone, and you don't really think about how tired you are or how far you've been riding. That's kind of like the state of mind that you get into after a while. Once you push like that first 20 minutes, that 20 minutes that you're used to.
Once you accept it, right? You just got to lead into that pain.
Yeah, you just start sucking it up pretty much. And it's definitely tough. You definitely want to prepare for it physically. I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend anybody just go hop on the bike and think they're going to do like 45 minutes to an hour unless you're a pro. It's not going to happen because
Right.
and
Yeah,
so
unless you're doing that,
yeah.
so with Azra and CCS and Nemar up in New Hampshire, they have these GTU and GTO races, which are like the time races of like 24 minutes and stuff like that. And I started doing those, I think, back in 21, and that was only like 24 minutes. And at least at Loudon, they would stop the timer if there was a red flag or anything like that, where CCS would just keep counting down. So,
Nice.
You're like, okay, I got a few more minutes, but it mentally, it took a little bit to, I normally at Loudon, it's 8 laps races. And I think I did 19 laps or something like that. And so after a while, you do lose sight of, a lot, and your body starts to hurt and stuff like that. And so my first my first 1 or 2, I was definitely looking for like a red flag or something to happen. But as you get used to it and you relax more, you realize like, oh, I can do this and stuff. But training is key. And for me, in 2017 and 2014, I ran a marathon. And I try to train as much as possible, like running a marathon, because like after running the marathon and racing, it was like effortless. But like you got to, you're doing, 10, 14 miles a week type of thing to kind of stay in shape. What has that training been like for you as you prepare for this? And when did you start training to race the second round? And also, you did it the one time. So, what have you learned that you're hoping to implement this time around?
So I love exercising just for fun. I always maintain just some level of physical fitness. Pretty good achievement with the marathon too, by the way. I've never done a marathon, haven't even thought about it. But
Thanks.
I was doing triathlons before I started racing.
So you're good.
Yeah, so I understand the mentality that you have for sure. And it's with the endurance racing for me, and I mean, and with the bike in general, when I ride, I kind of try to focus on what areas of my body need improvement. And traditionally, it's been my lower back and my shoulders. So I've focused a lot on cardio training. I go out and just go for runs. I go cycling, but I also weight train. And then when I'm weight training, I try to focus on the areas of my body that were weak the last time I rode on the bike. So
got you.
Yeah, I'm always doing back extensions and like dumbbell flies, all sorts of shoulder and like lower back isolation workouts and things like that. But this year I really wanted to focus on my cardio. I want to try to do an hour plus on the bike this go around. So I've been going on hour-long runs, not for speed at all, but just for time.
Got you.
Just do a really easy hour. Try to keep my heart rate low, somewhere around where I can still have a conversation with somebody. So just a really slow, easy run to sort of build that base level endurance. Because believe it or not, I mean, on the bike too, being on the bike for that long, you get winded. It's a weird thing, even though you're not running, right?
Right.
With the excitement and you're still moving around the bike and your heart rate you get amped up. Your heart rate gets amped up. Your respiration increases. So after a while, you start breathing pretty hard.
Yeah.
So
it took me a while through talking to other people riding and stuff like that. But initially, like I realized I was riding too tense. You know what I mean? I was like clenched fist all the time on the bike, and I had to learn to start relaxing my body, which helped, cut down on how fatigued I got. And then, talking to different riders and stuff like that, then it's just like, oh, you got to rest. You got to find points on the track where you can rest. I'm like, oh, there's points on the track where you can rest.
Yeah, where are they at?
So there's a lot of, not nuances, but there are a lot of things to racing. It's not just one thing. It's the mental part of it. The ASRA series, there's a few people that would do those ASRA 2-hour races by themselves. And, the guy's like, I'm like, how do you do it? He's like, I can't feel my hands. I can't squeeze the brake. I can't do nothing. Once I accept it, I'm fine. And it's just like, he still didn't tell me how he did it other than accepting it. But like, okay, so if he's accepting it, meaning he chances are he's not pushing as hard as he could because he's not using the brake. So he's only pushing as hard as he probably could downshift or be able to manage the brake. But and that's him doing it by himself. I'll go back to the marathon a little bit. After a while, you and not even just a marathon. I lacerated my spleen in a motorcycle accident, and I had to recover and stuff, and waiting for pain meds in the hospital. Like the pain meds will be gone before they can give me more pain. And, after a while, I just had to embrace the pain. Like there was no, at first you're just mad at it. You just want it to go away and all that. But eventually you just got to just, embrace it. And it's interesting that how the body, and there are people probably who do way more extreme stuff than me. And they're able to do it probably way better. But there's a point mentally where you just kind of, it's there, but it doesn't get in the way anymore.
Yeah, I mean the mental part. I mean, definitely with running and with racing too. It's so huge how much just the mental aspect of it can determine like your outcome. And just like with the marathon, I'm sure before you did your first marathon, you probably thought like it's an impossible distance at some point, right?
Yes.
But then you trained for it, right? You built up that fortitude, and then you pushed through it. And then once you got to the finish line, you're thinking, well, it really wasn't that bad, right? Did you kind of have, you're like,
let me interrupt you a little bit. Full disclosure, halfway through, I called my buddy up and I was like, you want to come get me?
Like my legs don't work anymore.
And he talked me off the ledge. So yeah, like the second one was definitely better, but the first one, the hardest part is, talking yourself off the ledge to keep going. So yeah, not to interrupt, but how, like, continue on, talk about that.
Yeah, like it's just once you push yourself to that point, then it's like you're thinking, well, maybe it's not impossible, right? I did it. What do I want to do next, right? And then maybe you go a little bit further next time, and a little bit further, and it's kind of like that with the endurance racing too. I mean, the top guys that were most comfortable out there, they rode for over an hour and they pushed themselves to the point where they got off the bike and like their muscles were cramping, like they couldn't walk. Like there was several people that got off the bikes and they couldn't walk. Like they were like, get me some Gatorade. Like I need electrolytes. My body's shutting down, and, to get to that point, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you can't just skip straight to that point. Right. You definitely have to build up to it little by little. And the guys that are pushing themselves that far, I mean, they clearly have a lot of experience on bikes and a lot of experience endurance racing too. But, just understanding that, you can push yourself as far as you want, right? Like you're in control of your body, right? Your body's not in control of you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when I was doing the triathlons too. You said my first one, I trained and I prepared. I had no idea how it was going to go, but just like you, I just went out there, I did my thing. And then after that, it's like, well, this wasn't that bad. And then every one after that, it's like, well, let me start focusing on going faster now.
Right.
And, it's just always fascinating to me how, you would think that from the outside, you would think, well, there's not a whole lot of thought that goes into just riding a motorcycle around a track. It's just like driving a car up the street, You're using a machine and you're putting inputs into it. But, once you add that stress, the factor of stress and then fatigue. You start to forget to breathe, and then your heart rate goes up, and those are all things that you have to control. But the only way to do that is just through experience, through putting yourself in the situation, and then just start building little by little.
Yeah. And, for me, and I think for everyone, motorcycle riding, motorcycle racing, it makes you a different person at some point. I'm not the same person I was when I started riding. I'm not the same person I am, after getting over the adversity and rebuilding and rehabbing myself and coming back, or the first time you have a mechanical and you fix the bike and get back out there and go race and be competitive. It makes you, it shows you who you are. And it also, to me, it also tells you that you don't know how far you can push yourself. You know what I mean? Because like in certain moments you think this is all you got, and then you do things, or you just you take a leap of faith, and then you go, yeah, okay, I can do more. There's more to it. I don't know if that's like that for you, but I've experienced that, and And one of the biggest things that come to mind for me, like if there was a little bit of rain, possible rain, my bike is going back in the trailer. I wasn't putting rain tires on. If I thought I had a mechanical, the bike is going back in the trailer, kind of thing. Where you hear guys, changing engines in the middle of the nights and stuff like that, and going racing. I used to just think that was so amazing, until I found myself in that situation a few years ago, and more by seeing other people get over adversity. You know what I mean? And it was just kind of like, even when I saw him, I didn't think I could do it. But then there was just enough of a spark to say, try. And in the past, I would just say, I'm done. And once I've tried, now it's just kind of like, whatever's going on, there's almost a possibility that we can make it and do it right. And not to say I was a quitter before, but I definitely am open to taking a leap of faith more today than ever before, and partly through motorcycle racing.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the sport too. And it's the same thing that kind of appealed to me with the triathlon stuff that I was doing too. With the triathlons, it's not just one thing that you have to be disciplined in. You have to be a decent runner. You have to practice swimming, work on your freestyle, and then you have to ride the bike after that.
Yeah.
So motorcycling it appeals to me in that same sense, where there's so many different skills that you have to develop to truly excel at it, and that draws me to it so much. Right. You have the physical aspect of it, right? You got to be in pretty good shape if you're going to try to ride it at the best of your abilities. Your body is going to have to be able to keep up physically. The mental part of it, like we said, you got to have fortitude. Like I said, coming back from a crash and an injury, that's probably the hardest thing that a motorcycle rider will ever have to do, is be, mentally tough and strong enough to overcome the fears, that you probably have from that. And I can't imagine what you went through with that. I've had a couple crashes. Unfortunately, it's never been anything too serious, but even the crashes that I've had, it's rattled me, So I can't imagine going through what you went through. But it definitely shows how you have that mental fortitude, right? To say, I'm not gonna let that stop me from doing something that I enjoy doing, right? I'm gonna get back up. And and aside from that, you still have to develop, your hand-eye coordination, and then the actual skills on the bike, right? I got to start figuring out the methods behind riding, and work on my racecraft and understand lines and everything else. So that part of racing and just riding in general is what I love about it, is that there's not just one thing that you have to excel at to excel in riding. You have to be a very well-rounded person to truly exceed at it, I think.
I completely agree, and if not, you'll find out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It definitely, it's I don't mean to pick on some riders, but I've seen riders who feel very confident, cocky on the street, and then they do a track day, and you can tell that they're shook by it, and even though they're comfortable wilding out on the streets all day long every day, it's a different animal to be able to rinse and repeat. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's one thing to go down the street once and do it perfectly in your mind, but to go down that street, on a race weekend 50 times, it's a different animal, and to be consistent, as much as possible.
Yeah. And, for those guys that get on the track and get their doors blown off, coming from the street, that's something that we've all experienced too, man. That realization that I'm actually not fast, man. I'm in the beginner group and these guys are blowing my doors off. It's like, I have a lot more to learn, and that can be, be disheartening for some guys, or, the guys that with a different mindset might think, okay, let me get into this. I clearly have a lot to learn, right? You can be humble about it and say, I'm slow, but what do I need to start doing to learn these skills and get where I want to be? And you have to have that mentality at all times in racing, because and in track days in general, you're never going to be the fastest guy there. You're always going to get humbled, and being humble is definitely the name of the game, but definitely having an attitude of learning, an attitude of, I want to grow, I want to do better, is the only way that you're going to have a good time at this. Because unless your name is Mark Marquez or Top Rack, you're not going to be at the pinnacle. No. You're just not. So
maybe for a race week, maybe for one race. I don't know about the whole weekend.
Well,
trust me, the people who aren't doing bad, they're looking to come back. So you're not going to stay down too long. I've listened to you, and we're going to wrap up soon. Talk about the racing and how much, you've got into it. And it seems like, essentially from college, you've been in the motorcycle world, and stuff like that. How is your view? As looking back, right? Because I think, when we're younger, regardless of whatever we're in, we don't realize the moment we're in, even if we're in a quote unquote moment. So looking back, when you look at the motorcycle industry, as long as you've been in it, has it gotten, better? Is it kind of the same? What has it been like for you in almost 20 years of riding and racing and stuff like that? How do you view the motorcycle community?
Well, in my experience, I was always around sport bikes too. So, like mid, like early 2000s was where I feel like sport bikes were at like the height of their power, the 1000s, and everybody wanted the newest 1000. Everybody wanted, the newest Gixxer 1000, CBR 1000, and you can see that the needs and the wants of the riders has definitely started to change toward more comfortable, more street oriented bikes. You're seeing like the naked bikes become real popular now. Mm-hmm. Back, 07, 08, when I bought my first, when I bought that Ninja, I mean, there was like a couple naked bikes here and there, but they were pretty rare. I feel like at the time, I feel like I didn't see a whole lot of them. You'd mostly see just, some of the older, more experienced guys riding some of the naked stuff. But in recent days, you're seeing, KTM and Yamaha is really big into it now with the MTs, the whole MT series. And people are just trending toward naked bikes, supermotos. And it seems like the sport bikes are sort of fading off. I mean, the only people that are really buying them nowadays are us guys that are riding them on the track. So it's definitely cool how the industry has shifted like that, how people were starting to understand, it seems like the general consensus is that sport bikes are way too fast to be on the street. And there's still people that are, always going to be someone that that rides them on the street, of
Right.
course, but I would say those people are more in the minority now. Um, and the majority of people are just getting on the bikes that are comfy, touring style naked bikes. But yeah, I'd say that was the biggest shift that I've seen coming. Because I mean, I never would have imagined that sport bikes would be on the decline. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, seriously, manufacturers are not making them, and that kind of thing. It is even when it was happening. I mean, I had a Tuono, and my first bike technically was a Ninja back in like '98, but I didn't have it long enough to really say it's a first bike. Where in 2012, I had a Ducati Street Fighter 848 naked bike. And even then, it wasn't popular to have the naked bike. And 12, 13 years later, it's a lot more popular to have a naked bike these days. And some would say it's the Euro 5 emission is why some of these 1,000cc bikes are being obsolete. I mean, I think what is a will is a way, but I think that where Europe, where Europe have different rules for riders to get into riding, they have to start on small bike first and work their way up through license class and stuff like that. In the U.S., as you know, at 18 years old in college,
you just go buy it. You got money. Yeah, you got money and a license.
So it's kind of a backwards way to kind of limit what what the young do when they jump on a bike, because like anything, you get on the wrong motorcycle for your first bike. You may not ride that bike again or ride again just because you just weren't on the right bike, and you don't have the right information. You don't know how to ride. You know what I mean? I see on Craigslist and a lot of places, people have a bike and it's 4 years old, but they only have 100 miles on it. And it's kind of like, either you had a bad diagnosis or you got the shit scared out of you. Yeah. You decide that you're not going to ride anymore.
Yeah, that's where you see these cheap bike deals.
Yeah,
popping up. Which I mean, and it happened to me too. I mean, that first bike, I crashed that thing within probably that first week, and it wasn't like a bad crash, like just something as simple as I was pulling into my buddy's driveway, rode off the ledge, went right back on, and just laid the bike over. But I mean, a lot of people, especially people that start on 600s. I mean, I don't know that I would recommend it this day and time either. And I think I was pretty lucky too. I mean, a 600 is a lot of bike to start on. It'll get you in trouble really quickly. And I've known people that have started on 1000s too, which I can't even begin to wrap my head around that. But yeah, I mean, a bike will scare you real quick if you don't respect it. And yeah, those guys that get that brand new bike and, like you said, 100 miles on it, it's for sale. Yeah, they probably twisted the throttle a little bit too much. Definitely scared them a little bit, and they gave it up.
Yeah. And it's tough, and but I know I'm not, in the U.S. it's we get to choose what we want to do, and I do, for the people who can buy the big bikes and ride them and not hurt themselves, more power to them. But there's a lot of people that find themselves in the ER on a weekly basis, if not daily basis, on motorcycles, and some of those things can be avoided. But let's talk about Florida Motor Talk, the podcast. How did that come about? And let's talk about that a little bit before we get out of here.
Sure. Yeah, Florida Motor Talk is our YouTube channel, and we have a Facebook group as well. We're on Instagram, and it really came about just me and my co-host Tristan. We were longtime friends when he lived here in Tallahassee. He went to FSU as well, and we were riding buddies. And he's since moved down, out near the Sarasota area. But we were always talking back and forth. And if we weren't talking about MotoGP, we were talking about World Superbike. And if we weren't talking about those two things, then we were looking all over, every forum and for sale page looking for sweet deals on bikes. And originally the idea was to go find just the best used bike deals that we could. And then we would share those deals, just with everyone, just to try to get people on new bikes for really good prices, new to them bikes, used bikes.
Nice.
And then that quickly evolved into all the things that we're interested in. So that quickly evolved into episodes where we were recapping World Superbike races and Moto GP races. And then that evolved into track day vlogs. We've got a ton of track day vlogs from a bunch of different tracks. And then, naturally that then evolved into episodes where we just share information, and that's kind of where we are now with the vlogs. We have a bunch of knowledge between the both of us as far as the bikes and the industry and track days and racing and everything. So we have several videos where we just put out information for people to come and watch and understand how to get to a track day, some of the things that you can expect during a track day. I have videos on, steps that I've taken to improve. We did a video on, how much I spent during a track day, how much I spent during a race weekend.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. And my wife hadn't seen any of our how much did it cost series yet. Thank goodness. But it was hard adding up, how much I spent. I think for the most recent one I did was for a Talladega race weekend, and it was in the thousands. But we have a lot of content, and we really just want to help grow the sport, put the information out there where people can see that track days, it's not something that's mystical. It's not something that you have to be a young professional rider to do. It's something that's open for everyone, no matter what your skill level is.
Right.
We just want to show everybody that, man, it's a whole new world on these tracks, completely different from the streets, and it's something that's attainable for everyone. So we just try to, have a good time and put that information out to everybody so that we can do our part, make this sport bigger so prices go down.
Yeah, listen, man, that's why I'm here too, man. I stumbled into this sport, and it's I wish I would have found it sooner. It's a pretty beautiful community. It's amazing that people will give you parts and then line up next to you and race with you with their parts on your bike and be competitive. I would say, if everyone rode a motorcycle, the world would be a better place. It's one of those things where, if I'm on my bike and I stop, people on the streets, people will check to see if I'm good. If I'm in my truck and I stop, no one is checking. It's a beautiful community. And that's why I found you guys on social media and on YouTube with the video and stuff like that. So I appreciate you guys coming on. Tell the people how they can find you on social media.
Yeah, we're Florida Moto Talk on YouTube. Once again, we have a ton of videos. Any questions that you have about track day riding, you want to watch point of view videos from the tracks, you can see how the layouts are and everything in between. We're on YouTube. We're Florida Moto Talk on Facebook, and then we're Florida Moto Talk on Instagram too. If you like looking at motorcycle photography, a lot of the pictures that I take, I didn't mention that, but a lot of the pictures are on the Facebook page, and then we're slowly uploading them to the Instagram page too. So all the places that we go, I usually whip the camera out, get beautiful photos too. So like I said, we're just, between me and Tristan, my buddy, we're just crazy about bikes. We eat, sleep, drink bikes. And, like you said, the communities, it's a great community. It's a welcoming community. So, if you're on the fence, just dive in. Just dive in. It's great. And we got room for you. Anybody that's listening.
Definitely got room. Well, John, I appreciate you coming on Florida Motor Talk. Check out the podcast and the videos and everything, and we'll probably see each other at a racetrack soon, man. I want to thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, I look forward to it, man. And once again, like I said, I've been a fan of the show for a long time, so I appreciate you having us on. I really enjoyed it, man. And if you ever want me back up here, just let me know, man.
All right, man. We'll do. Peace.
Yeah, we'll see you.